Grief can feel like an overwhelming weight, especially when it seems like life keeps moving forward, leaving you behind. Whether it's the loss of a friend, family member, or mentor, the pain is uniquely personal. But in the midst of that hurt, there is hope, and there are steps you can take to begin healing. In this video, we'll explore simple yet powerful ways to navigate through grief. Find understanding and discover meaning even in your darkest moments. If you're hurting right now, this is for you. At the time of writing this video, I've experienced the loss of 3 people I knew over the past 2 weeks. One was a childhood friend, someone I always thought would be by my side. Another was someone whose faith in God deeply inspired me. They spent hours helping me understand the Bible, and their influence was profound. The third was a person I looked up to in many ways, whose love for God encouraged me to live a life of purpose. Losing them has been heart-wrenching, and honestly, these past few days have been tough emotionally. But what makes grief even harder is that time doesn't stop. We're left with this painful reality where we have to process our grief, but life keeps moving forward. It's like being pushed forward while trying to carry the weight of your loss. If you're grieving right now, I want you to know your pain is unique to you, and I can't fully understand your personal experience. Writing this video, my heart is heavy. If I were to lose someone else, my wife, family, or a close friend, maybe this video could offer me some comfort in the future. But for now, I'm here to share with you what has helped me during this time, and my hope is that it will help you too. I'm not here to provide all the answers, but to offer some guidance for those struggling with grief. I'll be sensitive, and I'll be straight to the point. Let's start with the first step that has been crucial for me. Step 1. Don't force healing. In the Bible, in Job chapter 2, verse 13, it says that when Job was struck by unimaginable loss, he lost everything: his wealth, his health, and his children. His friends came to him. But they didn't immediately try to offer advice or comfort him with words. They simply sat with him for 7 days and 7 nights in complete silence, because they saw how deep his grief was. There's power in that silence. Sometimes when we're grieving, we feel the pressure to keep going, to move on, or to somehow feel better. But that pressure can be damaging. Grief is a complex emotion that doesn't follow any set timeline. Some people might try to distract themselves, while others find it hard to even get out of bed. There's no right or wrong way to grieve, but one thing I've learned is that it's okay to not be okay. For a long time, I tried to pretend everything was fine when it wasn't. I tried to smile and push through the pain, thinking that would somehow make it better. But I realized that by pretending I was okay, I was only delaying my healing. The first step to healing is allowing yourself to feel the hurt. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying you have to go through this alone. But I've found that giving myself permission to hurt, to feel the weight of my grief, is the first step toward healing. One thing that's helping me right now is focusing on projects that matter to me, projects that could help others even after I'm gone. It's a way for me to feel like I'm making a difference while I process my pain. But what does healing look like for you? Maybe it's taking time off from work, going to therapy, or spending quiet time with loved ones. It could be journaling, or simply being alone to reflect. Whatever it is, find a way to process your grief. And whatever you do, don't rush it. Don't force yourself to feel better before you're ready. Healing comes when we accept the pain and let ourselves work through it in healthy, personal ways. Pause for request of next segment. Now let's talk about step number 2, spending time with people who understand. In Romans chapter 12, verse 15, the Apostle Paul says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep." Notice he doesn't say fix those who weep or give advice to those who mourn. He simply encourages us to join in their emotions, to weep with them. When I was struggling with loss, I noticed something important. People who came to me with well-meaning advice or positive quotes often didn't help as much as they thought. They'd say things like, "It's going to be okay," or "Time heals all wounds." And while those words may be true in the long run, in the moment, they felt hollow, and sometimes even frustrating. I already knew the right answers. I knew that there was hope, that God works all things for good, and that life would eventually get easier. But when you're deep in grief, you're not looking for answers. You're looking for someone who gets it, someone who understands the weight of what you're feeling, and that's where the power of shared experience comes in. The voices that helped me the most were the ones that didn't try to fix my grief, but instead said, "I understand. I've been there, and I'm hurting with you. These are the people who sat with me not because they had the perfect words, but because they cared enough to be present in my pain. I'll never forget a friend who reached out after I lost someone close to me. She didn't offer advice or tell me how I should be feeling. She just told me, I understand what it feels like to lose someone, and I'm here if you need to talk or just sit in silence. That simple statement was exactly what I needed at that moment. It wasn't about offering solutions or giving me a timeline for healing. It was about being there with me in my grief. When you're grieving, it's easy to feel alone, as though no one else can truly understand the depth of your pain. But connecting with others who have walked through similar experiences can be incredibly healing. They don't need to say much, they just need to be present. Now, I know it can be tough. When you're grieving, you might not want to be around others at all. You might want to isolate yourself, to be alone with your thoughts and feelings. And that's okay for a time. But at some point, reaching out and spending time with those who understand your pain can be one of the most powerful ways to heal. Sometimes the best way to comfort others is not to try to give them answers or even try to make them feel better. It's simply being with them, showing up, and offering your presence. When people weep, we can weep with them. Sometimes all someone needs is to know they're not alone in their grief. One of the most meaningful experiences in my own grief was when a group of close friends came together and shared their own stories of loss. We didn't try to outdo each other with our pain or compete to see who had the hardest experience. Instead, we sat together and simply shared what we had been through. There was so much healing in those moments, not because we solved each other's pain, but because we were united in our grief. We understood each other in ways no one else could. If you're grieving right now, I encourage you to seek out people who understand. It could be family members, friends, or support groups. Find a safe space where you can talk openly about your feelings, where you can cry without feeling judged, and where your pain is met with empathy instead of solutions. It's okay to lean on others to let them in during this difficult time. But remember, don't feel like you have to fix yourself or others. It's not about putting on a brave face or pretending everything is fine. Healing takes time, and sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to be honest with others about where you are in your grief. You don't have to carry the burden alone, and there's no shame in needing support. Step 3, try to see God in the grief. This brings me to the third step, try to see God in your grief. Grief, as painful as it is, doesn't have to be a hopeless experience. In Luke chapter 23, verse 46, we see Jesus in his final moments crying out to God, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." Jesus, who had experienced unimaginable suffering, chose to commit himself into God's care in his darkest hour. I know it's hard to see God in our pain. Grief can feel all-consuming, and sometimes it's easy to question where God is when we're suffering. But what I've come to understand is that God doesn't promise we won't face suffering. In fact, the Bible says that we will face hardships in this life. But it also promises that God will draw near to us, especially when we are brokenhearted. I'll be honest with you, grief has made me wrestle with my faith. But in the midst of my pain, I've learned that God doesn't waste our suffering. He can bring good even from our darkest moments. There's a verse in Romans chapter 8, verse 28 that says, "We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him." That doesn't mean that everything will make sense right away, or that all pain will disappear. But it means that in the end, God will use even our suffering for something greater than we can understand. I remember the tragic death of Christina Grimmie, a singer who was shot at the age of 22. I didn't know her personally, but I was deeply moved by her faith and the way she shared Jesus' love with the world. She had such a powerful impact on me even after her death. Her legacy continues to inspire me to spread the message of God's love, just as she did. Grief has a way of making us reevaluate our lives. It has made me think more about the impact I want to leave behind. I want to make sure that the time I have left is meaningful, that it's spent doing things that matter, and helping others in ways that will last even after I'm gone. In your grief, try to see God. I know it's hard. It might feel like the world is falling apart around you, but God is near to the brokenhearted. And though we may not understand why things happen, we can trust that He is with us even in our deepest pain. So if you're grieving right now, take things one day at a time. Don't rush your healing, spend time with people who understand and try to see God in your pain. God may not take away the hurt, but He promises to be with you through it all. And remember, you don't have to walk this journey alone. Grief can feel like a heavy, unshakable weight, and at times it might seem like you'll never find relief. But there's an important truth I want to share with you. In this part of our journey through grief, it's okay to feel the pain. It's okay to embrace it for a time, and it's okay to allow yourself to hurt. It might sound counterintuitive. We live in a world that often tells us to move on as quickly as possible, to bounce back and keep going as if nothing happened. But that's not how grief works. If you try to force yourself to feel better before you're ready, you're only prolonging the healing process. I've come to understand that healing doesn't mean the pain goes away overnight, or that things will be the same again. Instead, healing is about learning to live with the pain in a way that helps you move forward, even when life feels shattered. Healing is gradual, and that's okay. It's okay if it takes time to get back on your feet. It's okay to take things one day at a time. It's okay to simply get through today and focus on the next breath. I've learned this through my own grief. In the beginning, I wanted to ignore the pain and just keep going with life. But no matter how much I tried to push it aside, the grief would resurface sometimes in unexpected ways, sometimes when I was least prepared. That's when I realized that grief doesn't work on a schedule. It comes and goes in waves, and the best thing I could do was allow myself to feel whatever I needed to feel without shame or guilt. As I've walked through this process, I've also discovered something else that's helped me cope: small acts of kindness. When you're in pain, it's easy to withdraw and focus inward, thinking that no one can really understand or help. But I've found that surprisingly, helping others can actually be a powerful way to begin healing. It doesn't mean you ignore your own pain or pretend it doesn't matter, but offering kindness to others, even in small ways, can start to shift your focus and help you regain a sense of purpose. For me, one thing that's been helpful is volunteering. I've given my time to causes that are meaningful to me, knowing that my contributions might make a small difference in someone else's life. It's not a magic cure for grief, but it's a way to honor the person I lost and to create something good out of the pain. It's a way of saying, even in my grief, I can still do something that matters. Now, you don't have to start a charity or volunteer at a nonprofit to do this. It can be as simple as checking in on a friend who's going through their own struggles, helping a neighbor with something they need, or just offering a kind word to someone who might be hurting. When you extend compassion to others, it doesn't just help them, it helps you too. It reminds you that even in the darkest times, there is light to be found in the kindness we show one another. That brings me to another important point: don't isolate yourself. It's easy to want to withdraw, to hide from the world and retreat into your own pain. But isolation can make grief feel even more suffocating. I've been there. I've locked myself in my own head, thinking that no one could possibly understand. But in those times, what I've realized is that connecting with others, people who get it, who've experienced loss in their own way, can be a powerful source of healing. When you're grieving, don't be afraid to lean on others. Seek out people who can listen without judgment. People who won't try to fix your pain, but will simply walk beside you. You don't have to do this alone. There's strength in vulnerability, and there's courage in asking for help. You might be wondering, but what if I don't know where to start? I get it. Sometimes it feels like there's no one who understands, or that no one has the time to truly be there for you. But the truth is, there are people out there who want to help. It could be a family member, a friend, or even a counselor or support group. Don't be afraid to reach out. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength, of taking the necessary steps to move forward. Step 4, hold on to hope. Now I want to talk about hope. When you're grieving, hope can sometimes feel elusive, like a distant light that's hard to reach. It can feel impossible to imagine a future without the person you've lost, and that's okay. Grief has a way of clouding our vision, making it hard to see beyond the present pain. But one thing I've learned is that hope doesn't mean that everything will be perfect. Hope isn't about pretending everything is okay when it's not. Hope is the belief that even in the midst of pain, there's still a future, still something good waiting for us. I don't know what your grief looks like right now, but I want to remind you that there is hope, even when it feels out of reach. Just because you can't see it today doesn't mean it's not there. Healing isn't linear. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and it takes time. But over time, you'll start to find that there is a way forward, one small step at a time. And even when the pain feels overwhelming, remember that you are not alone. If you believe in God, remember that He's near to the brokenhearted, as Psalm 34 verse 18 reminds us. He doesn't promise to take away the pain, but He promises to be with us through it. He sees your grief and He understands. You can trust that even in the darkest moments, He is working in ways you can't always see. If you're not sure what you believe, that's okay too. Grief is a journey that can raise big questions, and it's okay to wrestle with them. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is allow yourself the space to ask those questions without fear or shame. Take your time with it. You don't have to have all the answers right now. Step 5, moving forward, one day at a time. Lastly, I want to encourage you to take things one day at a time. Grief can feel so overwhelming that thinking too far ahead feels impossible. And that's okay. Healing takes time, and you don't have to have everything figured out. One step at a time is enough. It's okay to simply get through today, and when you're ready, start small. Whether it's getting out of bed, taking a walk, or doing something you enjoy, celebrate those small victories. They matter. Healing doesn't happen all at once, but little by little, step by step, you'll begin to find your way again. Grief isn't easy, but it's part of the human experience. And while your grief may never fully go away, I believe that over time, you'll find peace again. And though things might never be the same, you'll find a way to live a life that honors the memory of those you've lost. And you'll discover that healing doesn't mean forgetting, it means finding a way to keep moving forward. If you're grieving, I'm so sorry for your loss. Take care of yourself. Lean on those who understand, and give yourself permission to heal at your own pace. And as you walk through this journey, remember that you are not alone. You are loved, and you are stronger than you realize. Grief is one of the most powerful emotions we experience, and it can often feel like it's drowning us. In the midst of the pain, it's easy to forget that life still has moments of beauty, peace, and even joy, even though they may seem distant or hard to find. But as time passes, you'll begin to realize that healing doesn't just come from big gestures or dramatic moments. It often comes in small, quiet steps, tiny moments that help you find your way back to living. The thing about grief is that it doesn't come with a roadmap. There's no clear-cut path, no right way to grieve. Each of us processes loss in our own way and at our own pace. And while some may find comfort in talking about their grief, others may need silence and solitude. The important thing is to give yourself permission to navigate this process however feels right for you. I've learned over the years that in the early stages of grief, it's easy to focus only on the pain, the sharpness of loss that feels unrelenting. And at first, it's natural to want to avoid anything that might trigger those feelings. But the truth is, avoiding grief doesn't help. It simply extends the suffering. As hard as it is to admit, we need to feel our pain in order to heal. So what does this look like in practice? For me, it's been about allowing myself to feel the pain without shame. When sadness hits, I let myself cry. When I miss someone deeply, I allow myself to remember them and even speak their name aloud. I don't try to brush it aside or pretend it's not there. Instead, I accept that this pain is part of the healing process, and I don't rush it. Grief doesn't mean that you won't have happy moments again, though. It doesn't mean that joy is gone forever. It simply means that the way we experience life is different now. And part of moving forward, part of the healing, is finding joy again in the little things. It might be as simple as hearing a song that reminds you of the person you lost, or watching a sunrise that takes your breath away. It might even be as small as enjoying a cup of coffee in silence, allowing yourself to find peace in that moment. One thing I've found particularly helpful is practicing gratitude. I know it might sound cliché, especially when you're in the thick of grief, but focusing on what remains rather than what's lost can be surprisingly comforting. It's not about dismissing the pain or pretending that everything's okay, it's about finding balance. In the midst of grief, we can still find small moments of beauty and reasons to be thankful. For example, when I was grieving, I started taking a few moments each day to write down one thing I was grateful for. Some days, the only thing I could come up with was the fact that I had a roof over my head. Other days, it was something bigger, a phone call from a friend, or a memory of someone I lost. No matter how small, this practice of gratitude helped shift my focus, even if just for a moment, away from the pain. Another important aspect of healing is to take care of your body. Grief often shows up physically. It can leave you feeling drained, sleepless, and disconnected from your own needs. And while it might feel difficult to even get out of bed, sometimes taking care of your physical well-being can help you process grief more effectively. Even small acts of self-care like taking a walk, eating nourishing meals, or getting enough rest can make a difference. Exercise, too, is incredibly important. It's scientifically proven that physical activity can reduce stress and help improve your mood, even if you only take a short walk around the block. When you're grieving, the last thing you may want to do is move your body, but it's one of the best things you can do for your mental health. On the days when you feel like the weight of grief is too much to carry, remember to be kind to yourself. If you don't feel like socializing or even getting out of bed, that's okay. Healing is not a race. It's okay to have days when you feel completely drained. Take things at your own pace. Don't push yourself to get better faster than you're ready for. At the same time, when you feel ready to step out of your grief, even for a moment, try to embrace those small victories. It could be answering a text, going for a walk, or meeting a friend for coffee. These small steps are significant. Healing happens not in grand gestures, but in the daily moments of courage, strength, and kindness that we show ourselves. Sometimes when we're grieving, we forget the power of these small acts of life, these ordinary things that can bring us back to ourselves. Over time, they accumulate, and we begin to see that life is still filled with beauty and meaning even after loss. The key is learning to take those small steps forward one day at a time. Step 6. Keep a memory alive. One of the most meaningful ways to process grief is to honor the memory of the person you've lost. For me, I found comfort in keeping their memory alive in little ways. I keep pictures of them around, write about them, and sometimes share stories with others about the impact they had on my life. These acts help me celebrate their life, rather than solely focus on their death. When you lose someone close to you, it's easy to become fixated on the fact that they're no longer with you. But focusing on their legacy, on the love they gave, and on the positive impact they had on your life can bring a sense of peace. It's a way to continue the bond with them even if they're no longer physically present. You could start a tradition or ritual in their honor, something that brings you comfort and helps keep their memory alive. Maybe it's lighting a candle on their birthday, planting a tree in their memory, or doing something they love to do. These small rituals can help you feel connected to them and give you a sense of closure, even as the pain of loss remains. Ultimately, grief is not something to get over. It's something to learn to live with, to accept, and to grow through. It changes us, but it doesn't define us. And while the pain may never fully go away, we can find ways to move forward, to honor those we've lost, and to find joy and meaning in life once again. As you continue on your grief journey, remember to take things one day at a time, celebrate the small victories, and always be gentle with yourself. You don't have to have it all figured out. You're doing the best you can, and that's enough. Healing takes time, but with each step you'll find yourself a little bit stronger, a little bit more at peace. And always remember, even in your deepest grief, you are loved. Grief changes us. It reshapes the way we view the world, our relationships, and even ourselves. If you're like me, there may be days when you feel like the loss you've experienced has left you unrecognizable, like the person you were before the grief no longer exists. It's hard to find your footing again when everything feels so different. But here's what I've learned: while grief reshapes us, it doesn't have to define us forever. We can rebuild slowly but surely after loss. The rebuilding process isn't about forgetting the person we've lost, nor is it about pretending the pain doesn't exist. It's about integrating that loss into our lives in a way that allows us to move forward, finding new purpose and meaning. It's about creating space for joy even when we feel like we don't deserve it. One of the first things I've learned is that rebuilding takes time. You don't have to rush it. Just like healing, there's no timeline for when you should start rebuilding. It's okay if you need more time to grieve, to reflect, to adjust. Grief doesn't follow a set schedule. It ebbs and flows, and there will be days when you feel like you've made progress, and days when you feel like you've taken a few steps backward. That's normal, and it's okay. Reclaiming your routine. The first step in rebuilding is often reconnecting with your routine. This doesn't mean that you need to jump right back into your regular schedule or pretend like everything is the same. But slowly returning to the everyday tasks that once brought you comfort and stability can help restore a sense of normalcy. For me, this meant starting with the small things. It was about getting up at a normal time, making a cup of coffee, and doing simple tasks like washing the dishes or organizing my space. At first, those small actions felt hollow, but over time I began to find a sense of peace in them. I realized that even these small routines, things I once took for granted, could be grounding in the midst of grief. When you're ready, try to add something new to your routine too. It doesn't have to be huge, just something that brings you joy or peace. It might be picking up a hobby you once loved, or starting something completely new. When we're grieving, it's easy to forget that there's more to life than the pain. But there's still so much good in the world waiting to be discovered. Finding new purpose and meaning. Grief often forces us to reconsider what really matters in life. It brings up questions about purpose and meaning. We start to wonder, why am I here? What is my purpose now? And that's a powerful thing. Sometimes grief can lead us to a deeper understanding of what we truly value and what we want our life to stand for. During my own grief journey, I found that my purpose didn't disappear with the loss I was mourning. It evolved. The things that used to bring me joy and fulfillment might have changed, but they hadn't gone away entirely. Instead, I began to focus more on what was truly important: relationships, kindness, and living with intention. I started seeking out ways to make a positive impact in the lives of others, knowing that in doing so, I was honoring the memory of the person I lost. You might find yourself drawn to new causes, new goals, or new ways of living. Perhaps you'll decide to volunteer help others who are going through similar struggles, or dedicate yourself to something you feel passionate about. Whatever it may be, the key is to find meaning in your life moving forward, not by pretending that grief doesn't exist, but by letting that grief propel you into something bigger, something that honors both your loss and the life you still have to live. Creating new memories. It's common to feel like you're stuck in the past when grieving. You want to hold on to the memories of the person you've lost, and that's completely natural. But as time passes, we also need to create new memories, ones that reflect our present life, not just our past. Creating new memories doesn't mean forgetting the old ones. It means integrating them into a new chapter of your life. You can carry the love, the lessons, and the moments shared with your loved one into the future. At the same time, it's okay to allow yourself to experience new things that bring you joy, laughter, and meaning. For example, one of the things I started doing was traveling to places I'd always wanted to visit, places that held personal significance. It was hard at first, especially when I thought about the people who couldn't join me, but I soon realized that those experiences were important for my healing. The memories of those trips will forever be intertwined with the memories of the people I've lost, and that's okay. It's part of the healing process to embrace life again and create new experiences while still holding on to the love and memories of those we've lost. It's okay to let go. As we rebuild, there comes a point when we realize that letting go of the pain doesn't mean we're forgetting. Letting go means that we're no longer allowing grief to control our lives. It means we're giving ourselves permission to live again. Letting go is not about erasing the memories or pretending like the loss never happened. It's about accepting that life goes on and that we are allowed to find joy, love, and purpose again. It's about finding peace with the idea that grief will always be a part of us, but it doesn't have to define us. When you let go of the weight of constant sadness or guilt, you make room for healing and growth. You allow yourself to feel joy again without feeling guilty for moving on. And moving on doesn't mean forgetting, it means learning how to carry your grief with you while still embracing life. A new chapter begins. Grief is a long, often difficult journey. It's something that changes us, shapes us, and challenges us in ways we never imagined. But as we move through it, we find that we don't stay the same. We grow, we heal, and we rebuild. Our grief becomes part of our story, but it doesn't define the entire story. As you continue on your own path of healing, remember that it's okay to take things one step at a time. Don't rush the process. Allow yourself the time and space you need to grieve, to heal, and to rebuild. It's not a race, it's a journey. And always remember, even as you rebuild, even as you create new memories, and even as you find new meaning, the people you've lost will always be a part of your story. Their love, their impact, and their memory will continue to shape you. You're not forgetting them by moving forward, you're honoring them by living a life that reflects the love and joy they brought into your world. Grief is not the end of the story, it's simply a chapter that we learn to navigate. And with each step you take, no matter how small, you are moving forward. You are rebuilding, you are healing, and you are stronger than you think. Take care of yourself and remember you're not alone in this. Grief is a journey that's never easy, but it's also one that can teach us about resilience, love, and the power of healing. While the pain may never fully go away with time, we learn to carry it in ways that allow us to embrace life once again. If you're on this journey, know that it's okay to take it one step at a time. If this video has helped you, I'd love for you to like and subscribe for more support and encouragement. You're not alone together. We can keep moving forward.